Welcome to our series on the book of Genesis. Have you ever wondered how our decisions echo through time and influence generations? Let's delve into Genesis chapter 4, part 2, and explore this very idea. In verse 15, the Lord says to Cain, "Not so, if anyone kills Cain. He will suffer vengeance 7 times over." This divine proclamation is akin to you being in a game and having a protective force field around you. It means that God doesn't abandon even those who disobey Him. He offers His protection to Cain, demonstrating His infinite mercy. Following that, in verse 16, Cain left God's presence and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. This signifies Cain's separation from the immediate presence of God, suggesting a spiritual and emotional distance. It highlights the consequence of Cain's sinful act and his estrangement from the divine. The term Nod is derived from Hebrew and means wandering or exile. This implies that Cain is now in a state of wandering or being a restless nomad. He is cast out from the settled areas and is forced to dwell in a place of uncertainty and impermanence. Then we find Cain starting a family in verse 17. He and his wife have a son named Enoch. Picture building your first home, naming it after your firstborn child. This conveys a sense of permanence and shows how Cain was trying to build a new life. Moving on to verse 18, we see Cain's lineage growing with names that hold a deeper meaning in Hebrew culture. The names Irad, Mehujael, Methushael, and Lamech signify the continuity of life, further illustrating God's promise to Cain of protection. Verses 19 to 22 take us into the life of Lamech, who is a descendant of Cain. Just like in a classroom, where one child excels in art and another in science, Lamech's children exhibit different strengths. Jabal leads the nomadic and pastoral lifestyle. Jubal pioneers music. And Tubal-Cain works with bronze and iron. This diversity reflects the many paths our lives can take and underscores the richness of God's creation. In verse 23 to 24, we hear Lamech's words to his wives. Adah and Zillah, listen to me, wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Lamech's speech reveals a progression in the corruption and violence present within Cain's lineage. While God showed mercy and placed a mark of protection on Cain, Lamech exhibits a spirit of excessive vengeance and takes justice into his own hands. His words demonstrate a disregard for the sanctity of human life and a willingness to escalate violence beyond what was divinely ordained. In verse 25, we hear of Seth's birth. Adam lay with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, "God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him." Seth represents God's grace in giving Eve another son in place of Abel. And with Seth's birth, people begin to call on the Lord's name again, reminding us that faith can be restored even in the midst of loss. God's glory shines through in these verses, showing His mercy, His grace, and the rich tapestry of life He allows us to weave. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a like. Join us as we continue to explore and learn from the Bible, revealing God's profound love and wisdom in our lives. Thank you, and God bless.